Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Hardcore series. As you can see from those time lapses, I've been hard at work. You can see there we've built a warped stem farm, and I've built out the walls on both sides of this very first outer wall. Now, one of the other things that I've decided to do is start on this pathway here. So obviously this is going to be the main entrance. It will look a little bit different like this, a lot of terraforming it needs doing up here, but as you come up these steps here, I might even change these steps, might have them a bit more gradual, so using slabs rather than stairs. But you come through here, and then this is going to be your main entrance. Now along this area here, so in between this wall and then what's going to be this inner wall, all this here is going to be things like merchants and shops and all different types of what you might label as peasant stuff. So this is kind of where the bulk of the citizens of the kingdom are going to be living, and it's going to be pretty bad living, kind of squalor, you know, little shacks and shantytown type stuff. So really cheap living, basic stuff. That's why there's going to be a lot of mud and that kind of stuff. And then as we move into this inner ring, this is going to be slightly better living. So the floor is going to essentially be stuff like a bit of stone, gravel, that kind of stuff. So something that's a bit more of a pathway. And then of course the inner ring where the king is going to be, this is all going to be really nice, high quality, super expensive kind of flooring. And of course that's just one small part of how I'm going to try and really create this diversity between the three rings. Now when I first started building this, there was a very particular anime show that I hadn't seen before, so this is complete coincidence, but I'm genuinely thinking about naming these walls after the walls in Attack on Titan. So with that in mind, of course the first one would be Wall Maria, the second one would be Wall Rose, and then this inner one would be Wall Cena. I started watching Attack on Titan with my fiance a little while ago, and we just absolutely rinsed through it so quickly because it's such a good show. And normally I don't really do TV shows, and I don't really do anime kind of thing. I'm not really into that kind of stuff, but when she showed me Attack on Titan, I was hooked straight away. It's such a good series, and I'm very glad that she showed me that. So much so, I've obviously decided to bring a little bit of that into this hardcore world. So the other thing that I wanted to kind of talk about today in this episode is the fact that I've had a bit of an epiphany, a little bit of a revelation. Now, one of the things that is really attractive about a hardcore series, and for you guys watching, is that there's an element of danger. Obviously, if I was to die, that's it, game over. The problem with that is that once you've got some really good armor, you've got mending, you've got totems, it's pretty rare that you're going to die. Now, obviously, I'm not going to try and introduce something into this that's going to just instantly make me die. I really do not want to lose this world. That being said, I want to keep it interesting for you guys. So I've come up with an elegant solution. I'm going to get rid of all mending. Now, the reason why this introduces a really nice element of danger, but not too much, is that all of my items are at some point going to break, whether it be my armor or my elytra. Therefore, this is something that I've got to keep on top of. It also means then that I don't have a ton of diamonds or netherite or whatever it might be just sat in my ender chest, not doing anything for the entire season. Because if you've got mending, you just keep repairing everything and you never have to reuse any materials. So with that in mind, what I'm going to do is disenchant all of my armor, all of my tools. Everything is going to go back to normal. I'm going to re-enchant it with all the normal stuff that it would normally have, just without mending. Because like I say, all of my stuff has got mending, and I could easily just go to the Enderman farm and repair everything, and I would never need anything ever again. And unfortunately for me, that is just too boring. I want a little bit of danger. I would like an element of the fact that I've got to really look at what I'm doing and keep on top of these things, because if I'm flying around and then all of a sudden my elytra goes out, I'm in hip deeper trouble. That being said, I will be leaving my totems. I want to keep those on because I want to introduce a small amount of danger, but not enough to just immediately kill me. So let's have a quick montage of me getting rid of all my enchantments and re-enchanting. Why do I do this to myself? So naturally, you'd think that the most painful part of the process here was actually getting rid of the enchantments that I'd worked so hard for. Weirdly enough, no. It was actually the fact that I kept running out of lapis. I had to keep going backwards and forwards, trying to get more lapis from either my villagers or going mining for it, and then coming back and then having to repeat the process over and over again. Also, I was getting really unlucky with that enchanting table. For some reason, I just could not get the enchantments that I wanted, and it just kept over and over and over again, which kept meaning that I need to get more lapis, and the process just took like 2 hours to do, and it was really, really painful, but I managed to condense it down into a short montage for you guys. Now, unfortunately, I didn't want temptation in my way, so he has to go. After that, it was just a case of getting a new villager in there. Ideally, I was after efficiency, but we'll see how that goes. Of course, as you can see here, I had to re-put in all the rails, all the pathways, the same type of layout that I did previously when I had to get all the rest of the villagers in. This was very tedious work. It does take a long time to kind of get all this sorted. I did decide to get rid of the armorers because I'm just not using them anymore. I will be making another villager breeder and a villager trading hall in the mega base at some point soon. So again, I'm not really going to have too much use for these guys. They have indeed served me well, and their heads will be immortalized forever. And in doing so, I could get myself some new villagers that don't have a profession. I just have to breed them up, get some young guns, and then send him off into his new home. Once he's all grown up, of course. It does seem a little bit barbaric putting them in a single cell like that for the rest of their lives, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. And then it was the whole process of, yeah, just trying to find the right enchantment. This took the longest I have ever looked for a single book before. I must have cycled through every single enchantment in the entire Minecraft before I found the one that I was after. I was looking for Efficiency 5, and we got it. It is a little on the expensive side, but I'm really not that bothered because I do have a raid farm which is going to get me plenty of emeralds, so it shouldn't be an issue. And then after that, it was just filling in the gaps with either books or other enchantments that I had knocking around. Plus going backwards and forwards to the enchantment table, again trying to fill in any gaps, and eventually we got there. And there we have it, guys. So all of my armor, including my elytra as well, everything and all of my tools is now mending free. So as before, I have a couple extra totems here just in case something happens, but then I've also got an extra elytra as well in case I'm kind of flying through the air and suddenly, you know, I start falling to my death. But I honestly think that this is going to make the series a little bit more interesting, not just for you guys, but also for me, because I feel like it was kind of getting a bit stale, just being able to repair all of my stuff all the time. And again, I have a lot of materials like diamonds and netherite and things like that that just was going unused. So this is a really great way of cycling through some of those materials and making sure that I'm not just going to have massive stockpiles of stuff that never gets used. And of course, there is that element of danger as well, that something might happen at some point if I've forgotten to have my totem on for whatever reason, and then I just suddenly fall from somewhere, flying about somewhere, trying to get back to my old base maybe or something like that, and I fall to my death. Unfortunately, that is a real concern right now, and I'm just gonna have to make sure I keep a totem on me at all times. So with that in mind, let's put it back on. So theoretically, things should be okay. I should be okay, but if I do make a mistake, you guys can laugh at me. But with that being said, today we are going to do a little bit of housekeeping. I do want to kind of tidy up the place just a little bit. There's also a couple of farms that I'm eager to make because there's certain things I just haven't got, and it's early game stuff, you know, so I'm looking to get myself like a super smelter, maybe a lava farm and a bone meal farm. Obviously, that thing over there needs a lot of bone meal. So as and when I come to run that again, when I'm trying to get a little bit more of this warp stem, I'm going to need lots and lots of bone meal, and I want to make sure it's constantly stocked up. So what kind of bone meal farm am I thinking of making? Well, now that I've got that cactus farm, and there's a lot of it there, I don't really think I need all of that. So I'm more than likely just going to expand that at some point. I'm not too sure whether or not to expand it here, or tear it down and rebuild it in the center of the island. That way I can make it a lot bigger and actually multi-storied. Then I'll just basically have it going straight into a bunch of composters, and that could be running pretty much around the clock. Now, if I am going to build a super smelter, maybe the outer ring isn't the best place to put it, maybe the inner ring, because it could be incorporated into like a blacksmith kind of vibe. But that does mean that I have to clean up a lot of this. So there is going to be a fair amount of terraforming. I'm going to have to clear out this hill area. And I'm probably going to do a similar vibe as to what I've done here. So you've got this ring that's going to be basically flat, and then it kind of steps up. So the walls are going to come down all the way to here, and the grass is going to kind of match up to that. So this pathway will expand a little bit. But the idea is that when it comes to building the next kind of gate, it's going to step up here like this, and then it's going to be flat ground again from here. That's the first job. The second job is going to be doing a lava farm. Now, probably going to want to do that in this inner ring as well. because that could be incorporated into the blacksmith area as well, and it could be the fuel for the super smelter. Now, a few episodes ago, you did see me do the time lapses of clearing off this island because it was in fact a massive jungle, and I cleared the whole thing out and there was lots and lots of bamboo. So in some chests over there and a few chests I think over there as well, I do have a lot of bamboo. That being said, I don't think it's going to be enough if I did want to use that as my fuel source for my super smelter and various other things that I might want to use in the future. But the great thing about bamboo is that we can now make it into bamboo blocks, which in turn make bamboo planks, which in turn can make chests. So with that in mind, we could build a massive bamboo farm to create a lot of chests for our internal storage system, because at some point that is going to be going in the center ring as part of the kingdom. So I'm definitely at no shortage of bamboo at the moment, but this kind of stuff does disappear really quickly, so that could change. Now, one of the bigger problems that I've got is that doing mega builds like this and having most of my farms already completed, unfortunately a lot of the content that I'm going to be putting out over the next few weeks are going to be a lot of time lapses. So I do apologize for that in advance. However, kind of seeing this build coming together is going to be really entertaining. I really can't wait to get stuck in. I've already built out some of the walls, as you can see here, and it's just really spurring me on and giving me the inspiration that I need to really make a dent in this build and try and get it as complete as possible, as fast as possible. So the next thing I'm going to do is just carry on with a little bit of this platform, raise it up to the top of here, and then put a platform right across here and get rid of some of this hill. Essentially just prepping this area and this land for the super smelter to go in and also the lava farm. Let's go. So, as you can probably tell from that time lapse, this area here I had a few issues with. I can't get it to look exactly how I want it, unfortunately. It's going to take some reiterations. This is still not right, so I'm going to have to come back to it another time. I'm sure you guys can get a gist of where I'm going with this. I mean, I wanted a bit of a platform to kind of come out here that raises up, ready to go through the next lot of gates here. This is going to be actually into the main kingdom itself, so all this is going to look really nice and it's going to look really well textured, lots of really decent materials, and again, obviously down here it's going to look a lot more rubbish, let's say. As you can probably guess as well, obviously I've got all this nice and flat here. It's going to need to be flat pretty much all the way around, so this is going to be a lot of terraforming to do. It's going to take ages. I am actually going to turn this into some kind of set of mines or something like that, you know, an entrance way to go down to it. I might end up covering up this bit, I'm really not sure. There's a lot of different ways I could go about this and maybe just have this as being the entrance way to the mines, but either way it's going to look really cool. So here's the super smelter. I have tried to fit it in with what might be or might look like a kind of blacksmith workshop. There's going to be like a shop front coming all the way around here, and then obviously going to be more places like that further around. So I've done 8 regular furnaces and 8 blast furnaces. Most of the time I think they're going to be fed with either coal or bamboo, but every now and again if I'm doing something that's quite intensive and I need a lot of fuel, I can always just nick the lava from here. Don't worry, you're not going in there. Come back! It is a semi-manual one at the moment. I'm not really too worried about having one of these fancy redstone-y ones with minecarts going across it just yet. I may do one like that in the future, but just at the moment I don't really need to smelt too many things all at once, and I don't mind waiting just a little bit longer. But unfortunately, that's all I have time for in this episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment sections below. Bye for now.